and was somehow able to curl up in the fetal position. In light of this, the fact
Fetal position. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the video. Welcome back to another 100k week video, and we are watching some more Sodor Retold by Tanzig. A lot of you guys requested more. Don't worry, I planned on watching more anyway, and we're going to be watching episodes 4 through 8. So this has been fun. Original videos are in the description below. Be sure to subscribe, check him out. And the Real Rail Fan Gaming Boy says congratulations on reaching 100,000 subscribers. You really deserve this. Your reaction videos bring many of us together by laughing at the same time with you. Next milestone is 1 million subscribers. Hell yeah, thank you very much, and now let's waste no more time and get into it. Let's do it.
Despite his recent conduct with the Express, for whatever reason, the Fat Controller still allowed Gordon to take it. The passengers were very wary, but the Big Blue Engine's behavior had improved dramatically. He was efficient, punctual, and considerate.
Well, that's good.
He also loved flying down the line at top speed. "I'm the fastest engine in the world," he proclaimed. "Nothing can stop me." I should have seen that coming.
Except for bad gas, I guess.
"Do I want to know what happened?"
No.
Edward asked.
No, you don't.
"My safety valve burst," Gordon replied. "This is so embarrassing and
valve.
very inconvenient," the Fat Controller snapped. "I never liked these big engines, always causing problems. Perhaps you could replace me with a donkey, sir," Gordon sneered. "Don't tempt me. Edward,
Donkey.
You'll have to take the Express the rest of the way." "I'd love to, sir, but I don't think I'm strong enough to pull this many coaches."
No.
"I know you're not. Shut up, Gordon. Give it a crack, Edward." And he did. The old engine puffed with all his might.
This is just
but
torture.
didn't get very far. "Gee, what a shock." "Shut up, Gordon. Bother. I guess we'll have to call in Henry." "What on earth was that?"
What's the
"Well,
jump
sir,"
scare?
Gordon began, "Henry was immensely traumatized by what you did to him last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Disassembled them and brought him out of the tunnel in parts.
So much so that he now screams at random intervals. It's very annoying. All right, we'll deal with that later. For now, Edward, you and Henry will have to take the
I mean, who wouldn't be traumatized?
Express to its final destination." "Yes, sir." Needless to say, the rest of the journey was not a pleasant one. Although they made good time, Henry's random screaming made the trip an ordeal for Edward and the passengers. When it was over, Henry retreated to the shed and was somehow able to curl up in the fetal position. In light of this, the Fat
Fetal
Controller realized
position.
he had to do something. "Henry, would you like some drugs?" "Yes, sir. Please, sir." "Okay, here you go. Some special coal just for you." "Thank
yes,
you, sir."
of course.
Just like that, he was right as rain. So the moral of the story is, all pain can be cured with drugs.
Nah, I wouldn't agree with that message,
Thomas the
but
tank engine was grumbling to the other engines. Grumble, grumble, grumble. "What is it, little Thomas?" Gordon asked. "It's not fair," he began. "How come I have to spend my time pulling coaches about just so you lot can take them on journeys?" "Because you're a shunter, Thomas," Edward pointed out. "It's literally your job." "Well, I'm sick of it. I want to get out and see the world. Do you have any idea how boring it gets being stuck in the same place?" "That would actually be pretty annoying," Henry concurred. "Perhaps we should let the little fellow take one of our trains on occasion." "I have a better idea," Gordon began. "How about we don't? And why not?
Why not?
You're too impatient. You're bound to leave something behind." "Like what? The entire train? I don't think so." "All right, little Thomas. If you're so sure you can pull passenger trains, you can take the Express tomorrow." "Really? You're not having me on, are you?" "No. By all means, have at it." "Okay, I will, and you'll see how a real engine handles passengers." The next morning, Thomas couldn't leave the shed fast enough. He collected the coaches and brought them to the platform. In no time at all, he was off. He was delighted by this change in routine and scenery. He got to see parts of the island he never knew existed.
What? What are the pyramids doing here? I'm not even gonna ask. Why bother, right? Oh, what? What the hell?
He arrived at the first station ahead of schedule. Edward was very
I'm not gonna ask.
impressed. "I'm very impressed," he began. "Even Gordon never arrives this early. I guess he just doesn't know how to properly handle passengers," Thomas boasted. "Thomas, where are your passengers? They're in the coaches." "No, they're not." Thomas was horrified to discover Edward was right. His coaches were completely empty. He then realized after he brought them to the platform, he hadn't actually stayed long enough for anyone to get on board. Thoroughly humiliated, Thomas slunk back to the big station. When he arrived, he not only found angry passengers, but a very amused Gordon. Well, well, little Thomas, he began. I now see the proper way to handle passengers is to not deal with them. Brilliant! The passengers got on board and Thomas departed.
Yeah.
Though he was very late arriving at each station, he nonetheless did well. Even so, the Fat Controller decided to not put him on any more passenger trains for the foreseeable future. That night at the shed, it was only he and Gordon. The big blue engine made the mistake of teasing his colleague. The next morning, Gordon was found in a ditch. Nobody knows how it happened, and he never told, but he made sure to never tease Thomas again.
Something.
Thomas the Tank.
Shut up. Something tells me Thomas had something to do with that accident. Just saying.
Thomas the Tank Engine wouldn't stop being a. Despite his blunder with the Express, he still went on and on about how he never got to see the world. His constant whining was starting to get on everyone's nerves. He's worse than a social media activist, Henry whispered. Indeed.
What can be
Edward
worse than
replied,
that?
We need to find a way to placate him, and I have just the thing. Thomas, how would you like to take my goods train tomorrow? I wouldn't. Why not? I don't want to pull trucks. They're horrible things. Oh, for the love of Thomas, stop being a and show some gratitude that I'm giving you this opportunity, you little.
He's got a point.
Okay, Thomas said meekly. Thank you, Edward. The next morning, Thomas went off to fetch his trucks. Now, trucks are spiteful, horrid, and troublesome things. Hey, they don't like being bumped about, and they certainly don't like the engines. Thomas knew this, but he was in a foul mood and simply didn't care. He biffed and bashed them about as he assembled his train. By the time it was ready, the trucks were very ticked off at Thomas. We're very ticked off at you, Thomas, they shouted. We don't want
I love how they say the very next line that the narrator says.
to go out with you. Oh, yeah? How about now?
What?
Never mind. Good call. Come along.
Is that a tank? What the hell?
Thomas made good time as he rattled down the line.
Nothing
While
makes
the trucks
sense,
behaved, they were silently seething. They
I'm all here
started
for
whispering
it.
amongst themselves and decided if Thomas was willing to go gangster, then so would they.
What does that
At the
mean?
end of the journey, Thomas shunted his train into a siding. His trucks were now surrounded by dozens of others. They told their homies what had happened, and they were appalled. Such an affront to the gang could not be tolerated. So, while Thomas was taking on water, the trucks surrounded him and gave him a proper beatdown.
What?
The Fat Controller
What?
arrived to find Thomas in a battered state.
How?
Well, little Thomas, he began, it seems you still have a lot to learn about trucks. Yes, sir, Thomas began. Like how the were they able to move without an engine?
Yeah. Well, nowadays,
Thomas was very ticked
All Engines Go apparently does that. But we don't talk about that here no more.
off. He had wanted to get his own back at the trucks since they gave him a beatdown, and he did. He bumped and biffed them around the yard. Sometimes he thrashed them a little too hard. The first time he did that,
To be honest, Scruffy deserves it, so.
he was introduced to a very unusual set of cranes.
Ah.
That's the breakdown train, his driver told him. It's used to lift heavy things like engines and coaches and the Fat Controller's wife. And little like this lot, Thomas added with a sneer.
Damn.
During one of these recovery operations,
The hell?
Thomas heard the sound of an approaching goods train.
How?
He barely had time to blink before the engine rocketed past. The engine's name was James, and he was a always boasting about his splendid red paint and amazing speed. The latter he liked to put to the test, even when hauling dangerous cargo. Not long after thundering by, James had a spectacular crash off screen. Oh, bother, Thomas exclaimed. Why is there never a cameraman around when you need him? I know, said his driver. I mean, grab the breakdown train. We need to help him. Thomas was
I mean, hey, that would have been one hell of a crash to see on screen.
up and took off as fast as he could.
13 hours?
Busted boiler! Holy! You took your time, you slow. Note to self: don't tick off those who are trying to help you.
It's true. That's a good point.
James was glad to be back on the rails following his accident, although the Fat Controller was annoyed it happened in the first place. James, he began, you need to be careful. Speeding is unacceptable and dangerous. That's
Yes.
different. If you say so, sir, James replied.
hypocrisy.
What's my job today? You'll be pulling passenger trains. Now see those coaches? Those are as fragile as a modern-day feminist, so handle them with care or I'm going to have you executed. Understood, sir. With great care and trepidation, James backed down onto the coaches. He buffered up to them ever so delicately. All was well, until they burst into flames. Oh,
What?
bother.
That's it? That was it? Okay, well, alright. Well, there we go. Until next time, guys. You know the drill. Comment your favorite part below. We'll see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, notification behind for each and every upload. Twitter, Discord, links to those are in the description below. Become a member by click the join button. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Stay safe. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.